2021 is slowly but surely moving towards its conclusion. Many will say it has been a year of political realignment for some, the press of a reset button for others, and an ominous new entrant called Omicron in the battle to contain a pandemic in the health sector. On the security front, it is the endless battle to keep the outlaws out of the gates. In all this, getting society to function to its full potential is the task before the key stakeholders in every sector. Today on Political Update, we will begin the review of 2021, the people and the politics. I am Fisayo Ogunfui. Welcome. Let's start with international relations and the outcomes of collaborations and peace initiatives. A coalition of civil society organizations has hailed the recent bilateral agreement on youth dialogue between Nigeria and South Africa, saying it is a move towards finding a sustainable and mutually beneficial synergy between the two countries.
Nigeria and South Africa are economic giants on the continent, so any threat to peace in these two countries affects Africa as a whole. Following the xenophobic attack on some Nigerians a few years ago, which threatened the cordial relationship between Nigeria and South Africa, the governments and civil society organizations moved to foster and promote peace among the two nations, of which the recent signing of agreement on bilateral relations on youth dialogue when the South African president visited Nigeria is a product of the engagement.
We will first of all make sure that there is peace and permanent peace between these two countries, so that if there is any other idea, you will do it in an environment of peace.
It's high time for us to start thinking of the total development, and the development in the sense that we have a framework that is addressing the development, which is what we call the AU Agenda 2063. So the South Africa, the Nigeria Youth Dialogue Initiative is actually toward the implementations of that AU Agenda 2063.
To see this development as a panacea to a lasting peace and the end of xenophobic attack, destroying the image of both countries and Africa at large.
A well-organized program that we have done, and we carried all other counterparts and even civil society organizations along.
Representatives of the various CSOs, including NANS, applauded the initiative.
In the meantime, a civil society organization, Accountability Lab, says naming and honoring public servants who have distinguished themselves will help motivate others, that accountability is a big part of patriotism. The organization is urging government to look for role models in the quest to move the nation forward.
From the pool of more than 1,000 public servants, randomly nominated across the country, only 5 made it to the Hall of Fame as Integrity Icons of the Year. 2 officers of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, a staff of the Corporate Affairs Commission, and another from the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, and 1 from the Akwa Ibom State Ministry of Justice also made it to the famous list. Their penchant for integrity was the only ticket that stood them out.
I will not relent. I will continue in my principle of being accountable not only to myself but to my God.
Integrity pays. It is good for you to be known for one thing, inside and outside.
Whether private sector, public sector, there are some level of integrity expected of you because there are do's and don'ts there. So when you do the right thing, definitely there's going to be reward.
Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, and other partners are supporting the campaign to ensure corruption-free public service system.
People are beginning to see that, yes, 1 or 2 people in different parts of the country are delivering service to citizens without any form of competition, without any form of bribe, without any form of bad behavior.
So far, 25 public servants have won the Integrity Icon Award in the last 5 years.
Women and politics now. Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu SAN and his Lagos State counterpart Babajide Sanwo-Olu want more women's active participation in politics for Nigeria's sustainable development. The governor spoke to thousands of women in Akure.
No doubt, women contribute in no small measure to development of the society, hence, their development is development of all. This is one of the objectives of the Foundation of Wives of Ondo State Officials, FOWOSO, a concept of the wife of the governor.
We cannot continue to keep quiet in the face of challenges daily affecting our women. We have the force, we must learn to use it and use it better. We must actively be involved in conceptualizing and digital ideas that make our society great.
The third FOWOSO Summit is with the theme turning around the economic status of women in a COVID-19 era. And for the women, it is time to take charge.
She's really trying for women in Ondo State, and we really appreciate her.
Within these few months that I've been part of FOWOSO, I've learned quite a lot.
Women from the 18 local government areas of Ondo State received various empowerment materials to boost their trade and businesses.
All right, in our review segment now, we're being joined now by Dr. Sirajo Yakubu, Senior Lecturer and Head of Department of Public and International Law, Nile University. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us at a very short notice, I must say. Now, let's start with our international collaborations this year. Just last month, we were in France for the Peace Summit. We were in for Scotland for the climate change and all that. Have we been able, to some reasonable extent, projected the nation in the best possible colors?
Yes, of course. I think Nigeria is doing a lot with its international partners for the mutual benefits of Nigeria and the country it is collaborating with. Of recent, like you said, there were COP I think 26 in Scotland. We know the commitment made by Nigeria there towards reducing global warming. Of recent also, there was a visit by American officials, senior official of the Department of State, during which Nigeria and United States, seek to collaborate to bring, or at least to tackle, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, which is actually our biggest challenge now. Not only with the United States, the EU, where Nigeria is also collaborating with the EU to also tackle the issue of insecurity by way of empowering the youth in the country, because Nigeria have identified the United Kingdom has committed a lot of resources in collaborating with Nigeria to empower the youth, to make sure that our teeming youth who are unemployed are getting something to do by themselves. So I think
I'll come back to United Kingdom, in the course of the course of the program, Doctor. But that's one in terms of diplomacy. Now let's go to our electoral processes, which is the crux of the matter. You were here just before Anambra. We saw the issues just before then. The introduction made by INEC in terms of the BVAS, the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, and in terms of our gravitating now, gradually into, more technologically, driven electoral system. Are you comfortable? Have we been able to a reasonable extent, cross T's and dotted our I's, especially with some of the things we saw in Anambra, and looking forward to the off-cycle elections, for instance, that we'll be having in Ekiti and Osho next year?
Well, you see, we can still describe Nigerian democracy as nascent, despite the fact that we have been we have.
When will nascent end, for instance? That
well,
word nascent.
when we get matured, because other countries, other democracies have been democracies for more than 200 years. We have just gotten uninterrupted democratic rule just for 20 years. So you can see that we are still having the hangover of military rule. Things are being done in some cases in a military fashion or semi-military fashion. But I can tell you that we are making progress. Not every country has employed technology in its electoral process. Nigeria is gradually using technology to drive its elections. We have seen that in Kaduna, and it has worked well. We don't know, it's an experiment. Whether it will work for the whole country as a whole, because Nigeria is very large, we don't know, but we are hopeful. We, of course... that
was conducted by the state?
Yes, conducted by the state. So if it's conducted by the state, what of at the national level? But again, another factor is the number of states is by far more than Kaduna State. That can be an obstacle. You see, like I said, politics wherever is a very complex game, so to say. You have different actors. You have other factors that actually work against a successful election. But as a whole, I think we are moving forward, and I think there's a bill now before the president, the amendment bill, which seeks to amend the Electoral Act, allowing direct primary elections, which, if you look at it, it has its merits and demerits. On the one hand, of course, we are taking back democracy to the people, which is very, very good. We have had that system before during SDP NRC, when the former president actually, introduced it, or tested it, and it really worked. But at that time, the level of corruption, I think, in Nigeria and the political manipulation is less. So it would be good for people to take back the democratic process. But on the other hand, direct election, I think it will be, direct primary election, I think it will be very, very costly to the political parties and even to the politicians, which also have an implication on the resources of the country, because most of these politicians at one time or the other, they have had access to resources. And if there will be direct primaries, of course, everybody will try to help himself to get the necessary resources to just do that, because direct primaries is just another mini election.
I also get what you are not saying. So let's move very quickly, because of some of the things we still need to talk about. 2023 is, right around the corner. In a few short weeks, it will be next year. Yes. In a few short weeks, we'll be saying 2023 as next year. So now, looking at that and putting it in perspective, the big parties are beginning to recalibrate, realign to get ready for the push for the presidential elections. One has done, the other one also getting ready, but not without some problems at the moment. Is that the sign of the times, in terms of, at this point now, everybody is pushing towards the general elections, and the parties are also getting set for that as well?
Yes, because you see, whenever, just like I said, you see, disagreement in politics is a sign that we are making progress, actually, because in politics, in everything, we have to agree
to disagree.
To disagree, and we have to disagree to agree. So I think we have not seen anything yet. We have not seen anything yet. It is by the time we have APC convention done, that will understand, because now we have seen that of PDP, but by the time we have convention by the APC, then we will know where, the direction we are moving. And that's when we will be seeing realignment of forces. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised that if we see the repeat of what had happened at the eve of the 2015 election. whereby politicians move from different political parties and merge together to form the APC itself.
All right, let's move on very quickly, and that's a big part of this discussion. You know, someone who's versed in international law. This discussion also straddles, the health sector as well. But something has happened, the past few days. Let's talk about the, politics of this travel ban on Nigeria by some countries, Canada and the United Kingdom. This is your terrain. Surely, other options should have been perhaps explored, and in terms of the diplomacy between the two countries, or what they want Nigeria to do, perhaps to batten down the hatches before, eventually they come down with this travel ban, which of course, has been raising dust.
Yeah, first of all, we all know that, yes, there's COVID, but we know that it has never been devastated in Nigeria as it had been and is been in other countries, especially Europe, America, and other part of Asia. So I don't know, but the issue is that it is imposing travel ban on Nigeria. I don't think it is fair on the country, because Nigeria, on its own part, has never imposed such bans unilaterally on the United Kingdom and the other countries. Even when Delta variant was discovered actually in the United Kingdom, they still allow movement of people. And as a whole, if you look at the way Nigeria is managing the pandemic, I think it deserves a thumb, not punishment of this nature. And I want to believe that as time progresses, if these countries are not backing down, Nigeria will definitely respond. Yeah.
All right, moving to that sector, now Nigeria has expressed strong commitment to the global agenda to end the COVID-19 pandemic by 2022. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, at the opening of the National COVID-19 Summit to review Nigeria's response, said the legislature will make budgetary provisions to fight the pandemic and implement recommendations from the summit.
2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, various actors and players in the national response are gathered at this summit to identify successes, gaps, and lessons learned so far. The pandemic took the world by surprise, but also revealed the resilience of Nigerians as a people, and the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 has resolved to leverage on modest achievements to strengthen Nigeria's healthcare delivery system.
There is need for openness and frankness. Where we've done well, applaud us. Where we have not been able to meet up to the expectations of our people, remind us.
I believe that this summit will come up with consensus, recommendations, deliberations, and solutions.
Global health security must be built on the foundation of our national health security, and our national health security must be laid on the foundation of the individual and personal health security.
But our work here is not yet done. The United States continues to work with Nigerian stakeholders to prevent, detect, and respond to COVID-19, and to ensure this response is both effective and coordinated.
The National Assembly is concerned about developing an accountability framework for COVID-19 response and health security in Nigeria.
Whatever is necessary will be provided for Nigeria to continue to fight for the pandemic and beyond it. And I like that applause. But there is a condition, a caveat, that those who will be giving those funds need to provide the kind of prudence that is necessary. The economy, the efficiency in the deployment and application of those resources.
The summit's blueprint for Nigeria's pandemic recovery, reconstruction, and health security will be passed on to Mr. President. The objectives of Nigeria's COVID-19 summit are well spelled out, and it is hoped that the lessons gleaned or garnered from this pandemic will be applied to boost Nigeria's public health system and response to any future pandemic.
Thank you, Mitari. Meanwhile, the federal government has reacted to the United Kingdom's decision to put Nigeria on its red alert list over COVID-19, describing the move as discriminatory. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, stated this at a press briefing in Abuja.
The decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 2,000 cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory. How do you slam this kind of discriminatory action on a country of 200 million people just because of less than 2,000 cases?
The minister maintained that the travel ban slammed on some African countries is no solution to the problem.
Let me use this opportunity to highlight the fact that travel ban, the type that has been slammed on some African countries, is a knee-jerk reaction that can only be detrimental to our quest to most conclusively tackle the pandemic. Why can't the world take a serious look at the issue of access to vaccine and ensure that it is based on the principles grounded in the right of every human being to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health without discrimination?
Insisting that vaccine monopoly is at the root of derailing the fight against the pandemic, as countries with enormous resources have resorted to hoarding the vaccines, denying smaller countries access to it. In the meantime, the Presidential Steering Committee has issued a revised protocol to guide travelers. With effect from the 5th of December, the minister was emphatic that whatever decision to be taken on the pandemic must be scientifically driven.
All right, Omicron bringing some ominous implications to the travel situation across some countries in Africa. Before we go, Dr. Surajo Yakubu is right here with me. 2022, two off-cycle elections were expected in Ekiti and Osun State. Looking at from the template of Anambra, what are your expectations in the future words?
Well, my expectation, I think it will still go well, but you don't expect elections without disagreements. How the political parties will handle that, we don't really know. But I think, and I want to believe and I want to call for maturity so that that will give us a lead to where we are going in 2023.
That has been the program today on Political Update. We'll be back on Friday for a bigger, brighter program. And, of course, we'll be looking at parties as they prepare for 2022 and some, verbal fire between parties as they get set for the push for 2023. My name is Fisal Gufi, thanking you for staying tuned. Enjoy the rest of your week and urging you to stay with the Nigerian Television Authority for news, reviews, previews, and interviews, and urging you to play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.
Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Glamour, runway, style, fame.
She likes fashion.